What is happening, everyone? mEDIK here again with the beers and the projectile beats, because what you saw in the cold open happened. Not only did it happened live on stream. Before we can get into what caused that little outbreak, we need to talk about perfectionism and how damaging it can be. Now, I need to stress that I'm not a doctor, and I'm not a medically trained professional. I am just speaking about my experience based upon the things that I've read and how I feel I relate to them. I am most definitely not giving any sort of medical advice. As you can see, we're doing a little bit different format today. We're going to do it kind of video game style, but instead of playing a game, you get to watch me practice down there, and there's a reason for that. With all of that said, what is perfectionism? Well, in the mind of the average person, perfectionism tends to be mislabeled as just the need for things to be correct. And a perfectionist is thought of as an arrogant person that just wants things their way because they think their way is correct. Not only do I feel this is wrong, I feel it is dangerous. In a more clinical sense, perfectionism has a much darker definition. In her book, Overcoming Perfectionism, Dr. Shafran describes perfectionism as the setting of and striving for very demanding standards that are self-imposed and relentlessly pursued despite causing problems. It involves basing one's self-worth almost exclusively on how well these standards are met. I can finish a lot of tasks and projects with the mindset of good enough or that'll do, including this YouTube channel. I understand my knowledge and experience on content creation, and I set my expectations accordingly. But with DJing, I can't do that. When it comes to DJing, I have to be perfect. I have to be better than perfect. Anything less, then it wasn't even worth doing it in the first place. No mistakes will be tolerated. If my set is not to the level that I feel it should be, good enough is not good enough. If it doesn't achieve the expectations that I have in my head going into it, then it was a terrible set, I'm a terrible DJ, and I should just quit and never do this again. When I'm in that mindset, my mixing can never be good enough and my matching can never be tight enough. I spend far too long overcorrecting and creating a problem that wasn't there originally, all because of this deep, anxious feeling that it's never good enough. No one will ever notice if the hi-hats are a 64th of a beat off, not even me, but I can feel that it is and I have to fix it. It's a compulsion that I just have to do, and it ends up creating a massive problem. And this is where the incident comes in. I did a pop-up stream a few weeks ago, and I didn't play as well as I felt I should have. That anxious feeling came up, and I instantly thought, well, maybe you're just not any good. I was a bit embarrassed, but I thought, okay, maybe I just need to practice more instead of going straight to streaming. And that's what I did. I took a day to just play records the way I used to, and practice the basic skills of beat matching and mixing. And it felt good. I was actually playing and practicing the way I wanted to. And I thought, maybe you're not a piece of shit. You can do this. So the next day, I'm still feeling good, feeling like, okay, you got this. So I practice again. And yet again, it's going well. And at that point, I got a little cocky and hit the stream button. And that's where it all fell apart. Instantly, my mixing and my matching starting to slip. And that little ghost behind me that says, you're not any good, crept right back up. Botched mix after botched mix, I finally had enough, and you saw what happened. It's clearly obvious to say that that was not the way to handle the situation. Not only was it extremely embarrassing, it was damaging to my gear and my reputation. If I did that in a club, I would never be offered a gig again. With a bit of shame, I told my wife what happened, and instead of telling me I was wrong or I shouldn't have done that, she gave me the advice that I needed to hear the most. Everyone makes mistakes, and if you need to take a break, take it. It's hard to hear take a break when you have this unrealistic obsessiveness about being absolutely perfect about something, but I had to hear it. I had to listen. DJing is fun, and to me, DJing is an art, and I'm an artist as well as a performer. And as a performer, I want to perform as well as I can and show off the craft that I spent decades working on. When perfectionism turns an adored art into a mentally and physically taxing chore, it is no longer fun. It is a downward spiral of the persistent thought that I'm never good enough and I should not even try. The unobtainable goals of perfectionism leads to depression and leads to apathy. It is a very common thought among perfectionists to think, I cannot reach my goals, I should not even try. Dr. Gaynor has a wonderful lecture called Why Perfectionists Become Depressed, and I'll have it linked down below. Please watch it. So, I did the one thing on stream that you were never supposed to do. I had a meltdown. What happened next? Well, I did exactly what my wife suggested. I stepped back and I took a break. I needed time to get my head right. I needed time to really reflect on, am I not good enough? Or am I just overreacting to common mistakes that can be overcome? Luckily and honestly, I can say that it worked. I took days to reflect on the past 20 years of being a DJ, what it means to me, and how I can change my behavior to not let that happen again. In the days following the incident, I had two of the biggest gigs I've ever had in my life. First was for the legendary L Double playing Flex Fridays, which was easily one of the best gigs I've ever had and one of the most fun. The second was for the Team DMB birthday raid event, which was already stacking out to be one of the biggest gigs that I've played so far. And then something incredibly amazing happened. About halfway through my set, we got raided by the one and only John B with 191 people. And while this was extremely exciting, it was also very, very scary. That is more people I've ever seen in my stream ever. I don't get even a quarter of that. Just days ago, I had a total meltdown on stream, but none of these people knew that. This was a chance to prove to them and prove to myself that I am good enough and I can do it. I literally took a step back from the decks, took a big breath, and told myself I could do it. That deep, anxious self-doubt crept up, and holy shit, this is amazing, quickly turned into, you cannot fuck this up. I was able to overcome the anxiousness and overcome the self-doubt saying you're not good enough and put on the performance I knew I could, the performance that all of these people deserve. Did I make mistakes? Of course. But as the great Dom says, it's not about mistakes, it's about the recovery. And I was able to recover, and I'm proud of that. I wasn't sure if I was going to make this or not. I could have very easily deleted the original video of the incident and called it good. But I felt that I needed to, not for my sake, but for anyone else who may feel this way the same as I do. Don't turn something that is supposed to be fun into an unobtainable obsession that can quickly deteriorate your mental state. Nothing is worth getting that worked up over. Not DJing, not Twitch. And if you feel like you really need to talk to someone about it, please reach out and talk to someone qualified. Thanks for watching. Peace.